Your wife, who was just here with us for lunch, what a sweet person. She's not a public figure really, but she came out and made a public statement about the lunatic gender mania stuff.
Yeah.
And really got hammered for it.
Yeah. Well, and I think, my wife is very outspoken, and she's very, I don't know, very firm in her beliefs and
I can tell.
And it's tough, man. It's like, you're trying to raise kids. Like we have a 5 and 6 year old. I have a 21-year-old and a 17-year-old as well, and it's like, but you're trying to raise kids in an era, and we were talking about it earlier, where, you're trying to make things normal to me that aren't normal. And, and I think when she said that, it was just like, there's a certain group of people that are going to, I feel like there's people that are going to take offense to everything these days, no matter what you say. And obviously she said that, there's, people jumped all over that. But I mean, I agree with her. I mean, I feel like, listen, if you want to be trans or do those kind of things, like whatever, it's like if you're an adult and can make those decisions and you're old enough to have the mentality to know what you're doing and know what that looks like for the rest of your life, that's one thing. If you're, as a kid, your parents are already instilling that in you and like all this stuff and allowing you to do those things before you're of age to do, like you can't even vote until you're 18. Like why should you be able to do that, or drink a beer until you're 21, but you can change your, like it's just weird to me. And I think if somebody wants to do that and they're old enough to make that decision, hey, doesn't affect my life, whatever. But you can't try to make that normal to everybody. Like it's just now it's just like, a puppy. Like it just is what it is. It's just not like that.
So your wife's point was if you're promoting castration and gender confusion to children, that's evil.
Yeah.
I don't really see that there's much debate about that. But
nor do I. But like I said, these days, it doesn't matter what you say. I mean, that's the thing. Everybody's going to have different views on things, and I'm very aware of that. And that's fun. I mean, I feel like people can have their views. It's whatever. And I feel like you're free to talk about it, but don't be mad when I give you my opinion on it too. You know what I mean? I think that's where you can think that's okay all day long. I'm never going to. You can talk to me till you're blue in the face. It's never going to change my opinion as far as that goes on certain things. And I mean, there's certain things I agree with, certain things I don't on both sides of all that stuff. And so, but if it's something that, to me, that's kind of a common sense
It's
thing.
a little asymmetrical though, because you're saying, as I often say, you do your thing and that's fine. I'll leave you alone.
If it doesn't affect me, it doesn't affect me. And do what you want.
That's a kind of traditional American attitude. That's not their attitude
but
at all.
Don't shove it down my throat and try to make it normal. Like that, like normalize things to me that just aren't, like, it's like you're trying too hard to get me to, like, I don't know. It's weird to me.
But they are working to shove it down your throat.
For sure.
You have no interest in shoving it down their throat or even seeing their throat.
I don't care. Like, I do what you want to do. I don't.
Did that cause you any problems, like internally in Nashville? Were you at, dinners or award shows or at the Ryman and other artists come up and say, I just disagree with you?
Never to my face, ever. Never. Now, they may bark in the media or do whatever and, throw a tweet up or whatever, but never once has anybody come to me and had a conversation like that.
What would you say the breakdown is among artists in Nashville? Like what percentage would agree with you and what percentage wouldn't?
I don't know. I mean, that's kind of hard. I mean, there's, I definitely think there's a couple different groups of artist types in Nashville. Certain people kind of stick together and run together, and certain people stick together and run together over here. And, so I don't know. I mean, I know the people that I hang with and the people that, I'm close to and kind of where they stand on things. And I also know the ones that probably feel the other way. And
is that a big group?
I don't know. I mean, it's hard to put a number on it just because I feel like it's camps. It's like, this artist and that manager and their whole camp and whatever. And then these guys and that camp. And so you just kind of know. I mean, it's hard to put a number on it, but like I said, I mean, I know, I hang out with my guys who are, it never comes up. It's never really a thing. And if it is, we're usually on the same page, but you find the ones that maybe don't agree with you as much, they sort of keep their distance, which is fine. I'd actually probably prefer that. Actually.
Sounds like a really good plan.
Yeah.
What do you think of Trump?
I love Trump, man. I
Yeah.
do, you know, and
How did you end up knowing Trump?
so we ended up getting invited to New Year's at Mar-a-Lago one year. And I think it was, you know, we had kind of started to become vocal about it. And honestly, when he ran in 2016, I mean, I was not political at all. Didn't really get into it, didn't really understand it a whole lot, didn't pay much attention to it. And, but I did think it was cool that here's this guy that is really not a politician. And at the time you had, you know, all the A-list stars were going, oh, Trump's running for president. They were all excited and almost kind of like it was a joke a little bit. And then he won. And I don't think anybody thought he would win. And for the next 8 years, it's been nothing but trying to just like slander this guy, get him out, you know, and just all the stuff you watch him deal with in the media. And to me, it was just, I don't know, we just kind of started speaking out about that stuff and how we felt about it. And we got invited to Mar-a-Lago for New Year's.
Had you met him before?
I'd never met him, never talked to him, never met him. Went up there. He invited me to play golf with him that morning. And so I went and had breakfast with him, played golf, came back, had lunch, and then saw him at the thing and just kind of hit it off. I mean, you've been around him, you know, he's a guy's guy, man. You talk to him about sports or like whatever the case is. And he's just he's a cool guy. And so I just kind of hit it off with him and kept in touch with him over the, you know, last few years and try to see him when I can. You know, down in Florida, we live down there part of the time, which is only, you know, I don't know, probably 45 minutes from Mar-a-Lago over there. So, you know, it kind of started like that. It was like we had no intentions of getting political or any of those things. It just kind of happened. And then, you know, with all the elections, so like I said, the last 8 years, just watching what happened and going through 2020, the election stuff and the BLM stuff and the COVID vaccine and all those things. It's just like, man, you're just watching all this stuff go down. Like, what is going on right now? It's crazy. And so I think obviously having little kids made us get a little more involved and started paying attention to what was happening. And it's like, man, I just, you know, my thing is I don't vote for, and this is true, I don't vote for the person, like as much as people may say that's a lie or whatever. You know, for me, it's like, which one of these groups is going to take the country in the direction that I feel like it should be taken for my family, my kids, and like their future and those kind of things. And to me, that's what I base it on. And I feel like personally for me, that's him. And so, you know, it just kind of became a thing, but it was never, you know, I mean, 10 years ago, man, I couldn't have talked to you about any politics at all. I'd be like, I don't know, you know, it just was never really.
Because it didn't seem like it mattered?
Well, it just felt like, you know, the country was doing what it does. I mean, it kind of go through its periods of whatever, but it was never crazy. It was still, you know, economy will go up and down and those kind of things, but it wasn't just like a complete shit show. You know what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden when that happened, it was like, wow, we got little kids. And I'm like, man, I got to send my kid to school. And, you know, it's like, we're talking about like the transgender stuff. And it's like, what do I do if he comes home? And it's like, man, there's a girl in my class that's a boy or, but you know, it's like, that's hard to explain to a 5 or 6 year old. And people out there can say it doesn't happen. That's a lie. It's happening in elementary schools. I know for a fact, because it's happened around places where we live. And
in Tennessee. Yeah,
man. And it's just like, you know, I don't know. To me, that's just one of those things where it's like, I don't want to have to explain those kind of things to a 5-year-old who doesn't get it. And
shouldn't have to do
and shouldn't have to. I shouldn't have to explain that to him. So that's kind of where I'm at on it. And but it's those kind of things that made me kind of step up a little bit more than I had in the past.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. We hope you'll subscribe to it. And by the way, you can hit the little bell on there and get notifications every time we produce a video. We hope you'll do that also.